Eddie Pendergrass, welcome to our show Profiles.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And also thank you for inviting us into your home in the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Yep, the suburbs of Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's beautiful here.
Thank you, thank you.
And for our viewers, we just want to mention that, of course, they know you as one of the hottest R&B stars of the 70s and 80s. You at the beginning as a lead singer of Harold, Melvin, and the Blue Notes.
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. For a while, I thought my name was Harold.
Yeah.
I got called Harold all the time.
A lot of people thought you might have been.
Yeah, absolutely. They figured the guy that's singing the lead must be Harold Melvin.
And I guess at the time, I don't know if Harold Melvin was too happy with that.
Actually, he didn't really care because it still was his name, it still was his group. So no matter who was doing the work, he still got the praise. So
he sure did, and a lot of hits.
Yeah, a lot of hit records.
A lot of hits. And of course, you then went on. You left Harold. I'll get into that in a minute as to why you left and when you left. But you also had a tremendous solo career. And what was interesting about it was that your recordings were just as successful as your live performances. And you established yourself as one of the greatest live performers of your day.
I always took pride in performing. I still feel that the performance end is really where you make the music and the record in. If your performance is no good, people are not going to go out and buy your records. I think that's first, and I think a career comes first, and I think a record just gives you the groundwork to establish a career. It's kind of how I believe. It's my philosophy. So I did everything I could to establish myself on the stage because that's where I got my training, where I learned before records. I was on a stage in front of audiences, little old ladies, 200 or 300 people. So that's where I got my groundwork. My basic training was as a live performer.
I read somewhere that you grew up in Philadelphia, and your mom used to work at a theater, a supper club here in Philly, and then as a child you used to basically go to work with her, and you were able to see performers such as Connie Francis, Bobby Darin,
Bobby Rydell, Chubby Checker.
So this was you were able to see them in performance and kind of establish your roots as to how they do it.
I got a chance to see it. Didn't know that that's what I was going to do, but I got a chance to see it. I kind of think is where I was bitten, by watching that. It was a wonderful experience.
And the defining moment for you, as far as knowing that you wanted this as a career, came the night you saw Jackie Wilson.
Absolutely.
It happened to a lot of people, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. It was smitten by Jackie Wilson in many, many ways. He was truly a ladies' man, and I saw him at a theater here on North Broad Street called the Uptown Theater. Right. It's a theater. It's counterpart to the Uptown.
Right.
Uptown was like the Apollo in New York, the Regal, different theaters around the country is what we call the Black Circuit.
Right.
And at the time in the 60s, where a lot of black artists got a chance to perform on a regular basis.
Right.
And as a young black child in the inner city, I used to go to the Uptown Theater all the time. I used to cut school and go. Don't tell my mother I did that. She still doesn't know, but I'm sure she's figured it out by now. I had cut school and I'd go to the Uptown Theater and I'd watch like a day of shows, an evening of shows, 5 or 6 artists for $1. And it was the greatest thing that I had ever done in my life. So I got a chance to see Jackie Wilson one night when my mother told me not to go out. And I went out anyway with a friend of mine and wound up going to see Jackie Wilson and didn't leave. Saw Jackie Wilson and I thought, man, this has got to be the way to go. I saw more women fall at his feet and it was just an amazing thing.
Total control of the audience.
Total control.
His presence on stage.
And most of all, what I learned to appreciate later was his professionalism. The fact that he absolutely understood nothing was a fluke, nothing was by accident. It was all designed. It was not a Hollywood scripted set. This man went on a stage with a band and everything just came natural and he did whatever he wanted to do. It was total control. And I began to understand that the older I got, but at the time, as a 13-year-old, I just thought, God, this is what every man wants to do. So
that was a wow back then.
That was a wow.
Yeah. And of course, talent had a lot to do with it.
Talent had everything to do with it.
During that period of time, you became the first African American to have 5 platinum albums in a row. That's something that you take pride in?
Absolutely. I didn't think about it at the time. I was busy working. But as it turned out, I didn't realize that that was a first. I had no idea until after it was over. Actually, I didn't find out until probably pretty close to the time of my injury. I didn't really pay attention to it. I was too busy establishing my direction and reaching my goals. And I didn't know that that was a goal I was after or something I was trying to achieve. It wasn't a record like you find athletes or sports figures trying to go after someone's record and trying to break people's records.
It just happened
It
for
just
you.
happened.
And of course, you worked with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. You were the lead singer back in, I guess, the 70s.
Early
70s.
Yeah.
And some of the hits for our viewers, just to refresh their memories. I know they still play them today. The Love I Lost. Yesterday I Had the Blues. Wake Up Everybody, in the Grammy-nominated song, If You Don't Know Me by Now. Was that a good experience for you? And why did it end when it ended? Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
That was a learning experience for me. If you remember, I came from where as I mentioned, as a little black kid in the inner city. It was all trial and error for me. I knew not where I was going or how to get there. Right. You just used every opportunity you had that got you to the next level. So during my young years, I mean, I traveled as a drummer and played for different people and left people in different states. I even quit a guy in Canada because, things just weren't going the way I thought they should go. So I'm not one that sticks around if it's not going my way. So I would leave, I'd go and I'd try this. I played with different bands. And working with Harold at the time, he was the remaining member of a 50s doo-wop group called the Blue Notes, who had hit records in the 50s. Right. So he was carrying the group's name on and continuously and always updated and upgraded the group. So the group had disbanded. He was trying to retool the group. I went as a drummer. Right. Now, I started with him as a drummer. The group disbanded again, and he had heard me sing and asked, would you want to come up front and sing with us? And I went, okay. So again, that was another stepping stone, a chance to take advantage of an opportunity. Well, while there, we got the attention of Gamble and Huff while we're out, and that started the records. At that time, he wanted to make sure that it was recognized he was the leader of the group. So he decided to put Harold Melvin in front of the Blue Notes. Right. Because the Blue Notes was an established group that I don't know whether he had the rights to. I don't know anything. Sure. I didn't know it at the time. So by being with Harold, I got a chance to learn, understand, and begin what ultimately turned out to be a wonderful career. So from the standpoint of a learning experience, it was the most wonderful learning experience I could have had. From other aspects, I mean, it had its ups and downs. I
read somewhere that his roots were from the 50s, as you mentioned. And part of the problem a lot of these musicians had in the 50s, I guess, was the bookkeeping. And this was not a one-dimensional. We had Benny King on the show, and right down the line, to a man, everyone said, it was tough getting your money in those days. And I guess Harold Melvin was no different in that respect.
Yeah, he had his way of making sure that he got his first, and then everybody else was a paid hired hand. I was a paid hired hand, but again, from the perspective of a learning experience, it was a wonderful learning experience. Sure. I wouldn't have changed it. Just during the time when you're going through it, you go, "Oh man, this is crazy," and you didn't feel I was getting my just dues. And all the things that a lot of people have gone through. But it actually was a wonderful experience. I got a chance to see things from the ground up and began to understand what things are, how they should be, what not to do, what you should do. And that is what at some point prompted me to say it's time to leave. But I didn't leave until I understood what it was I needed to do and what to do and what not to do.
Sure. You learned the business during that period. Yes. A lot of our viewers watching today are probably not aware of this next fact, and that is that you're about to make a major comeback. But what they probably don't know is that you really don't need the music. You don't really need to make a comeback. and that you are and have been a very successful entrepreneur in the Philadelphia area. And the music, you're doing it for other reasons, but not for the money, really.
Well, I'm sure we'll get back to this, but for 19 years, after my injury, I had begun to reestablish myself and reinvent myself in other ways because when I had the car accident, of course, that took away my immediate money earning capacity, which
Right.
was stage performing.
Sure.
So after I cried and boo-hooed and was depressed about that for a couple of years, I needed to figure out how to pay bills and how to continue to live in the lifestyle was somewhat
Right.
the lifestyle that I had become accustomed. And it kind of started then. I began to make phone calls and take advantage of opportunities and different things. Now, my success as an entrepreneur is hardly the kind of success that one might go, God, he's hundreds of $1,000,000. No. I was able to pay my bills.
You pay your bills, and you got into real estate. That was
I
the
was
main
able
bit.
to
Other
get
businesses, but real estate
kind
was
of
the
got
main
into
one.
a little bit of that. And it just kind of, things just started taking on, little wings. And I began to kind of find a way to make a living, carve out a living. Nothing, that I would call the magnitude that
Right.
people might want to think I had or want
Okay.
to think I achieved. But I was able to pay my bills and pay my taxes. And
Of course, when you got into the real estate, Philadelphia was going through sort of a renaissance, so it was a good time for you.
it's a great time. Now, whether I was involved in that renaissance, I don't think I was involved in it like I could have been or should have been. But as I said, I was able to carve out somewhat of a living for myself that at least kept the lights on and was able to be able to take a vacation now and then. So it's okay. It's okay.
Teddy, when you had your solo career, I did want to mention that started around 1976. And you scored big right from the start with songs, which again, they play all the time. I Don't Love You Anymore, Close the Turn Off the Lights.
Oh, that's yeah.
Classic. Uh, and then, of course, you were at the pinnacle of your career, I would think, in recording and live performances. And then March, I guess, 18th, 1982 happened and changed your life forever. But it hasn't stopped you.
It temporarily held me up, and I say that now. At the time, I thought my world had crumbled, and my world had crumbled. It's very difficult to think about. It's very difficult to talk about. However, after 20 years, it's easier. I can look back on it because I've been able to move forward in spite of it. But yeah, my world tumbled and crumbled, and I thought that was the end. I did not think that there was anything else that could happen or I could ever be successful in anything else. However, after that time, I began to talk to people and talk to some important people who was able to give me a renewed spirit. And I had a great support system in my life that was able to let me be and go through what I need to go through. It still made me feel like a viable individual who had plenty of opportunity or plenty of potential and things like that. So with that, it didn't leave me any alternative but to feel like I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take every opportunity I come across to move forward in my life.
Sure. When the accident occurred, you were in a coma for 8 days. You woke up on your 31st birthday.
32nd.
32nd birthday. At that time, were your thoughts, did they go towards ever performing again, or just you just wanted to survive?
Well, I'm hearing it was a coma. I don't know. It's when I was cognizant of what was going on was when an ear, nose, and throat doctor, who is still a very good friend of mine, sang happy birthday, came in the room and sang happy birthday. And I mean, I heard him just as loud and clear. It's when I recognized where I was. And I just was not, I don't know if it was because I didn't choose to or whether I was in a coma. I'm not clear on that. And I really don't want to try to dig up those facts. That's not important to me. What is important is from the day that I recognized where I was and what I was going through was the day that I decided or I realized that things had changed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was the same. It was never going to be the same. It's not fast forward to here you are. Again, there's 20 years.
Sure.
So in 20 years, I've gone through many, many, many trials, many tests, many thoughts, many feelings, many emotions. And a lot of those emotions was, well, um, if I ever get a chance, will I be able to do this again? And for me, because I have had so many challenges, I thought, I'm going to try to, if I get a chance, I'm going to get back on the horse. I'm going to ride again. It's just something I threw out at myself. Whether I could do it, whether it would ever happen, I didn't know. I had no clue. But it's something that I said was said to me, which made me believe that if ever the chance came, and I felt that it was an opportunity that I could take, I'm going to do it. And that opportunity came in 1985.
That was with Live Aid.
Absolutely.
And you were called on stage. You were on stage with, if I remember correctly, that was a huge event, Ashford and Simpson.
Mm-hmm. I was asked by my then manager, Chef Gordon, if I wanted to participate. And he was the same person that said to me, I guess about a year or so after I was injured, Teddy, it's not how you fall down, it's how you get up.
Mm-hmm.
And those words rang so clear to me, and it rang so true to me, because at the time I was very depressed. One of the things that depressed me so much was while I was in rehab center, I read an article, and the headline was, "Who will be the next Teddy Pendergrass?"
Mm-hmm.
I felt, oh my God, I've been discarded, I've been thrown away.
You're out of here.
So, part of that was my depression. And then a lot of it changed once I heard the words, it's not how you fall down,
and get up.
It's how you get up. And that along with, like I said, all the support system that I had around me, my family, and a few close friends, and my immediate family, some relatives, I was able to see things a little bit differently. I got to seek help, professional help. I've gone through it all. So I was able to say, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to take it. So my manager said, there's going to be a big event in Philadelphia. It's called Live Aid. He told me everything about it. He said, I can get you on it. Do you want to take the chance? Knowing me, I take chances. I've always taken chances. That's why I explained to you about leaving in Canada when I didn't feel it was right. Yeah. I took the chance. Didn't know if I was going to get home, but I left. And I left the Blue Notes. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I said, okay, here's another chance. I need to know what people are going to think about me. If I'm ever going to have a chance at this, I need to know for me what people think, how they're going to react. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I had no idea of what, who, what, when, or where. But I did know that Nick and Val were very good friends of mine. And I felt safe. And I felt comfortable.
Security
I felt comfortable with Shep and people that were with me. And I said, okay, here's how I'm going to find out. In front of 90,000 people and millions of people around the world, I decided to find out what was going to happen.
And of course, you were a huge hit, well received, and that must have given you inspiration to want to do more.
That encouraged me. That made a major impact in my life. That told me, okay, it can happen, it will happen. Now go about trying to make it happen.
And you have.
And over time I have. Yes.
And since then you have worked.
Well, here's the deal. Before that, I was approached by Bob Krasnow, who then was chairman of Electra Records, and asked if I wanted a record deal. I said, yeah. Didn't know if I could sing, didn't know anything. I took the record deal. And at the time, we had just had our first post-accident album, which featured then unknown Whitney Houston. It was a single. I put this unknown girl on my record because she sounded just so damn good. She
was phenomenal.
She's phenomenal. Who's this kid? Sure, give her a chance. So her story is,
of course, and she had the roots, and you knew about her roots.
Of course, I knew her mother.
Right.
And then while that record was starting to be released, I got the chance for Live Aid. So it was a combination of things that made me go, "This is doable. I can do this." I have done appearances.
Yes.
Grammy shows,
right?
Television shows,
in a lot of different venues,
things like that. I had several albums since 1983,
right?
And several of them were successful.
Yes.
So that part of my life I still kept my feet in there, kept my wheels in there, I kept living. I'm around. I haven't gone anywhere. And as a result of that, I've had several Grammy nominations, and I've been on award shows, all of the late night shows, and I kind of want to let people know and understand that I'm still who I am. I ride. I don't walk, I ride. And I never wanted to conceal or hide that or be ashamed of it. And I figured if there was a problem, those are other people's problems, not my problem. My problem was to try to figure out how to continue moving my life in a positive direction, no matter what. And if somebody else didn't like that.
One other quote about your comeback recently by Entertainment Tonight, and that was, "He actually worried that nobody would pay to see him, but the man who once held concerts for ladies only had the ladies swooning once again as if no time had passed at all." Did you really worry that nobody would actually come to pay to see you perform?
I don't take anything for granted. I take nothing for granted. As I learned, you don't spend the money. You don't spend the money till you cash the check. So I don't want to assume. I took a chance. I took a leap of faith, and it was all based on. It was very selfish. It was for me. I did it for me, and by doing it for me, I didn't focus on what other people might do. I got an opportunity. I was offered an opportunity. I was handed a golden opportunity. I figured the people that handed me the opportunity needed to worry about that.
Okay.
Needed to worry about tickets and stuff. All I wanted to worry about was, can I do it? I didn't know who would be there, or I didn't follow ticket sales, or what's it look like, or because I didn't want to confuse me or confuse my emotions or my needs with anything else. I'm able to pick and choose where I work and when I work, and it's just turning out wonderful. The more I work, the better I feel. I'm back into it. I've got my legs under me, or my wheels under me now. It's happening. People are coming out. I'm enjoying it.
Are you happy now?
I'm having fun. I'm having fun.
I did want to mention that you are recently founded the Teddy Pendergrass Alliance, which you are an advocate for the disabled, and your organization is a national organization that helps people with spinal cord injuries rebuild their lives.
Rebuild, retool, and be able to live a life on their own, and have and do what I've been fortunate enough to do: pay your bills, live a life, have a positive life, have a productive life. It's just what it's about for me.
Well, and it also helps people with spinal cord injuries.
It's really, we focus on people with spinal cord injuries because that's my disability. That is what I can pay attention to. So I don't go outside of my area. I don't try to deal with everybody with a disability because, God, that's millions and millions of people. I focus on the area that I'm familiar with.
And of course, the area, it does help those with spinal cord injuries who seek education, training, and employment. So obviously, you're doing some good work there.
I have to. How can I not?
Does that give you a lot of satisfaction?
Satisfaction, pleasure. How can I not? How can I not? There are many people that I know, I've known and met over the years, who complain and who are so anxious to do something with their lives and complain they don't have opportunities. They say, God, if I could only get out of the house, get out of the nursing home. How can I not hear that when I'm on TV, I'm everywhere, and I do things? I live, for all intents and purposes, a charmed life. Even in spite of the tragedy, things are good, things are okay. So how can I not heed the call? How can I not help those who need the help, or try to present or put things in place so that people can help themselves.
Sure.
It's so important. So important.
I did want to read a quote by you about your comeback at the Taj around that period of time. You said about your comeback, you said, it took me 19 years for me to know what I can do since the accident, what my limits are, and be able to say, I want to go beyond those limits. Do you still have limits that you want to go beyond?
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell them.
You're not going to tell?
No. Hopefully, I'll be able to just do them. As they come, I'll take those chances. I don't brag. I just do.
You just do.
I just do.
Well, you're an inspiration to a lot of people. Great performance still. Great recording still. We just want to wish you the best of luck in the future, Teddy Pendergrass. You're a treasure, R&B treasure, and an inspiration to millions. Thank you for being on our show Profile.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you.